Hi friends, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back. Today in this session we are going to learn about the application exception versus business exception. So this is the one of the important tutorial of UiPath Q, and this is not only the UiPath Q but this is the part of UiPath. You should have the knowledge of application exceptions and the business exception. What is business exception and when it is called application exceptions. So let's see what is our agenda today. We'll learn what is application exception in UiPath Q, and we'll see the example of application exception in UiPath Q. What is the business exception in UiPath Q, and we'll see the example of the business exceptions in UiPath Q, and auto retry with application exception, and the last review request in UiPath Q. So let's start. Now what is application exception? Application exceptions should be used when an app you are automating fails or is not responding. An application exception describes an error rooted in a technical issue such as an application that is not responding or field like selector not found. For example, if application is closed by mistake and robot is trying to process the item, then it will throw an error is called application exception and can be retried if auto retry option set to yes while creating the queue in UiPath orchestrator. If the robot cannot find the field where it should insert the phone number, first name, last name or any field due to selector changed or text field missing, then it throws an error. These kind of issues have a chance of being solved simply by retrying the transactions. If the auto try option is enabled, the item is sent back to the robot to be processed, then item status will be changed to retried. If the item is sent back to the queue and the status not updated by robot within 24 hours, then status will be changed to abandoned. So now you got that application exception only occurred when the application which we are going to automate is not responding, or the field we are going to automate that is not available due to the selector missing the selector, or due to field not available, like that. Or sometime what happens, we close the application by mistake, then also we will get the application exceptions. Then we have the option that is auto retry in the UiPath queue. We can use that auto retry and orchestrator, or you can say that queue will send that item back to the robot again to process that item which is failed due to application exception. So this is the theory. Now we are going to look into the UiPath Studio. I will tell you practically. So let me open the UiPath Studio. So here I have already written the code for the application exceptions, but before that I need to create a queue, and then we need to add few items to the queue. So for that I have a list of data in Excel file, and I'm going to use these items, these records, and I'm going to add these records to the queue. First let me create a queue, and we'll take a queue name that is RPA underscore queue. We'll write here this will describe application exception, and here we can select the no, and then this is the main thing, that is auto retry option. If you select no, then once the item is failed due to application exception, the item will not be sent to the robot to process this item. But if you select the yes, then if it is failed, then again the first time if you select 1, if you type here 1, it means the maximum of tries, then the UiPath queue will send that item again to the robot, and then the next time it will retry the item. It will try to find that selector, find that application, and if it is available, then it will complete that, create this. Okay, so now we have added the items to the queue. We have 10 records. Now I'm going to use this application exceptions, but before that I'm going to tell you what I have done here. So I have done the same thing that I did in my previous video to get the items from the queue and process that, but only I am just doing changes in this for the application exception occurred. Like here in the open browser, I am just opening the RPA challenge website and clicking the start. Let me open this website. So I am just opening this one and clicking on start here, and then after that this get transaction item is used to get the items transaction item from the queue, and we need to pass the RPA queue and trans item. And then here we are checking if trans item is nothing, it means there is no data in the trans items, then it will go to the log message and it will close the browser. And if it has the data, then we will store the data here in the variables with the use of trans item dot specific content first name dot toString. And now here I am just using the try catch. If you are going to check for the application opened or not, then we can also take a element exist activity, and with the use of this we can check that that application exists or not. If it is opened, then we can automate this, but here I am not using that one. I am just taking on try catch activity, and in the try section I am using the attach browser here, and it will use the same this browser. And then I am taking the type into, this is the same that we already did in previous video. And then at the end, this is for the set transaction status, this will be successful. If there is an error like the selector missing or the application not open, application closed, then it will throw an error, it will go to the exception. And here you can see here we have taken one set transaction status, and from the status we have selected the failed, because if there is an error then it will go to the catches this section, then it means this is failed. So we are selecting this failed, and here in the region we are writing exception.message. You can use here your own custom message like application closed or like selector missing or selector not found. So that's why I am just using this exception in the region, that is exception.message, and with the use of this we will store the exception message only into the queue, and it will cover everything. If it is like application is closed, then also it will store the message, and if the field is not available due to the selector or anything, then also it will store into the exception.message. So and then the next here, and you can connect this to get transaction status again, get transaction item. So if there is an error or if like the status is successful, then in the both condition it will go to the get transaction item. And now let me run this so that you can I will show you how can we get the exception here, application exceptions. So let me run this. Now it is typing here. Now let's suppose it is typing here, and due to a human error, like someone has closed this application, then what will happen? Let me close this, and you can see here the 4 records have been successfully inserted. The last one is in progress. Now refresh this. Now you can see here the first time it was failed, and the second time again it is retried, because we had selected auto retry to yes. That's why here it tried again and sent to the robot to run again. But you can see here in the view details it is showing region cannot find the UI element corresponding to the selector. So this is called application exception. So now currently we are getting 4 to 5. Now let me open one the same challenges here, and now you can see it is typing the data again here, because now the robot is able to write the data in the application here. And now you can see here the process has been completed, and let me close this and go to the transactions and refresh this. And here you can see there are multiple application exceptions showing here, and there are few successfully. Now let me download this report, export this, and you can see here the retry is showing for these records. It's showing 111. It means one time it is retried. Let me take this one. So like there are 4 records failed and 2 successful, and these are the failed transactions, and the exception is application exceptions. Here exception region, this is cannot find the UI element corresponding to the selector, and these are the retried. So it means first time when item failed due to the application exception, then again it retried, and that time it worked fine. Now business exception. So business exceptions should be used when a certain transaction value does not meet a business requirement. For example, if a status does not contain ready to process, robots should skip that item and mark as failed with business exception and proper region. If phone number is greater than 15 digit and less than 7 or is not numeric, robots should skip that item and mark as failed with business exception and proper region. Robots should not process the items if address contains FL Florida State, mark it as a failed with business exception and proper region. Let's suppose you as a developer are working for any bank, and if customer has not given ID proof to open an account, then that item will not be processed. If proof submitted equal to yes, then item should be processed. If application password has been expired and changed by user but not updated in assets, is a business exception. You can throw or log a message. A type of business failure does not allow you to retry the transaction, as this is considered a business exception. For example, your input data does not match your requirements and so is a failure, but you don't want to retry. This can be notified to business for data mismatch or missing. So now you got that what is business exception. So this is something like the business is saying if you have this type of input, then items should not be processed. I will tell you practically. Let me open the UiPath Studio and then I will show you here. So here I have already created one project for the business exception. This is the same. We are just using the same application exception project here, or you can see here I am just doing few changes in the business exception. That the same, we are opening the browser RPA challenge, we are getting the item transaction item from the queue. We are checking that if trans item is nothing, it means there is no data in the trans item. Then we'll just log a message and close the tab, that is browser, and if it has the data, then we will store the data into the variable. And then here this is for the business requirement. Let me open the Excel file, and let's suppose I'm going to prepare this sheet for the business exceptions. So currently here the status, this is the business requirement, that if it is ready to process, then item should be processed, and if it is not ready to process, then this item should be skipped. So let's suppose I'm putting here in the second line, not ready. So we have 4 to 5. Let's suppose we are running today's record and we have 4 to 5 not ready to process. Then what will happen? This is the business exception. So once we'll execute the project, it will only execute this record where the status is ready to process. And for the phone number, let's suppose we are taking here the phone number not numeric. So let's suppose I'm just taking here phone number, and this is not numeric, right? So as per business, if the phone number is not numeric, or this is the validation that phone number is not numeric, then this item should be skipped. Okay, so let's save this and let's close. And now you can see here, so I have taken one flow decision, and in the condition I have taken here, if a status equal to not ready, then we have taken one set transaction status, and in the status it will be failed and the error type will be business, and here in the region item not ready to process. And if it is false, and like if a status is equal to ready to process, then it will go to the next decision, that is here it is checking is numeric phone number. It means it is numeric, then it will process here, and if it is not numeric, then we have taken here set transaction status, and then the region will be phone number is not numeric, and the error type will be business, and the status will be failed, and this will be the trans item. And here we have taken the try catch, and we are using the same thing, and at last we are using the successful. And here if it is failed due to the application exception, so we are using the application exception also here in the catches section. So if it is failed due to a selector not found, or the field missing, or file, or the application closed, then it will mark as a application exception here with the failed. So we are using the both things, business exception here and application exception in this project. So we are just using two condition, is numeric phone number and status equal to not ready. Now let me run this. So before that, again we need to add few items to the queue, because we have already used this. So let me remove this data. So now we have the data in the queue, and now let me run the business exception here project, and let me run this. So we are using this for the business exception, but in between I will try to close this web application so that it will throw a application exception as well. Let me copy this website. Okay, so this time it will throw an error for the application exception also. So review transaction, let me see this. Now you can see here we have the 2 to 4 to 6, we have the 6 business exception. Now let me open this again, RPA challenge, and now you can see here in the transaction we have the one application exception. This is the business exception, and these are the business exceptions. Now you can see here, let me export this. Okay, and from the exception region you can see here this is failed due to the business exception. Let me filter out the business exception only. Okay, so we have 7 records which is failed due to the business exception, and you can see here, and here you can see this is the retry number. So as you know that this is the business exception, so these items will not be sent to the robot to retry, right? And now you can see the exception. This is because the phone number is not numeric, and this is for the item not ready to process. This is phone number is not numeric, item not ready to process. So by this way you can skip the item which you don't want to process due to the business exception. Now next one is, let me show you here one thing, like if we'll go to the RPA queue, and this is the application exception, we can click here and we are getting the view details, in review, mark as verified, assign reviewer, retry items, and remove. So if you want to remove this application exception items, then we can remove this, and here we can see the details that this is failed due to the application closed with this selector issue. We can select in review, so it will update here in the revision that this record is in review. If you select as a mark as verified, it means someone has verified this record. And the option here, the next one is we have the again in review, and if we have reviewed, then we can retry this item again. If you want to retry, then we can select the retry, and so that status will be changed, and we can retry this item again. And we can assign the reviewer also. Let's suppose we have this application exception and this is failed, so let me check this, and we can assign the reviewer here. So currently we have just one admin, and if you have the list of users added to your tenant here in the UiPath orchestrator, then you can select anyone and you can assign the item to review to that person. Now in the next video we'll learn how to divide the queue work items with multiple robots in UiPath. Let's suppose we have 1,000 records, then how can we divide split that items to the multiple robots, so that it will take less time to complete these 1000 records. So if one robot is taking 1000 minutes, then if we have the multiple robots, then it will split the time, it will decrease the time also. So thank you so much friends, thank you for watching this video. If you have not subscribed my channel, then please subscribe and please like this video, and if you have any question, then please comment on video. Thank you so much friends, thank you for watching this video.